All right, let's talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers here for a little bit. Look, obviously off to an impressive start. Matt Rule and his staff, and frankly, the entire team doing a really good job so far. Everyone can see that. And to that end, heading into the Big Ten conference schedule, they've made another smart move. I think Nebraska fans will be excited. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, so far so good this season for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They've been physically dominant on defense. Dylan Raiola has been everything they've wanted and more at times. Future looks really bright for Nebraska, but that's not saying they haven't dealt with a number of injuries. But one replacement has stepped up and done such a good job that Matt Rule has essentially named him a new starter going forward. Let's get into this report courtesy of 24/7 Sports. Nebraska head coach Matt Rule clarified Wednesday the status of offensive guard Micah Miskua for Friday night's game against Illinois. Rule said Wednesday that Nebraska will start guard Henry Lutovsky at guard against Illinois, but that Miskua will be dressed and available for the game. Miskua will be dressed and ready, but he just won't start, Rule said. Henry will start, but Micah will be available. He's dealing with some things right now, but making some real progress. Practice well today. He'll be there, and if we need him, we'll go to him. Some guys are dealing with the foot. Some guys are dealing with different things. We try to do our best to be there for everyone. He's available. All right, reading between the lines here, I think this is indication Lutovsky did a really nice job subbing in there when he had to in certain situations, stepping up what his number was called, impressing Matt Rule and his coaching staff, and they're sticking with the hot hand here, basically saying he's the starter going forward as Micah tries to get a little bit healthier, a little bit better. We'll see how the rest of the year shakes out, but right now I think this is a smart move by Matt Rule, again, keeping the hot hand. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Nebraska fans, in the comment section below, obviously. Solid start to the season, but here you go. Big Ten matchup. How do you go through conference play? This is how you start it off. Give us your prediction. Nebraska, Illinois. Interesting game. I think Nebraska is a good position to win here, but you got to play the game. You got to execute. Give us your prediction, final score, Nebraska versus Illinois, and put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what is your thoughts on this latest Nebraska news?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is an interesting story about Nebraska. Talking about these guys, Miskua, talking about Lutovsky. You see this picture clarifying because I think Lutovsky is a guy that everybody thought was pretty good. He's had promise ever since he got in the program, but he's the young guy. He's the redshirt sophomore versus the transfer senior. Miskua has all of the experience. He has all of the ability. This is a guy they brought in. He transferred in. This is a guy that they wanted to start. But it's like you said, he gets injured. A new guy comes in, starts to play really well, a guy that they thought could potentially be the future at this position. And they say, hey, the offense is clicking. We got to go with our guy. And then Rule even goes back to us a little bit later on in the article, talking about, everybody knows Nebraska gave Colorado everything that they could handle, their ability. They were able to put some guys in the fourth quarter. And he talks about how well Henry played there as well. So I think this is just a narrative of we're seeing a guy get his start a little bit earlier than expected. He takes full advantage of the opportunity due to an injury, and now the new future of the position can be installed a little bit faster than we expected. This is something that happens quite often. Sometimes guys don't grasp this, this experience they're given as soon as Lutovsky did, but kudos to him. He took full advantage of this opportunity, and now we're seeing him being named a starter for at least this next game, but I'm feeling like it's going to be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think one of the points to focus on here is that Matt Rule understands how important these next three games are, even though it's not like the big names on their schedule, but you got Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers. I'll even throw Indiana in there as well. They need to ride this momentum. They need consistency. They can't be too volatile. And I think what they're trying to do here is figure out, okay, what's the most stable group up front offensive line wise? We've seen through the first three games, talking about we being Matt Rule and his staff. Okay, we've had all these different alignments, all these different situations here, battling through some injuries. What group of guys gives us our best chance to win over these next 3 or 4 games? Because you obviously have to go to Columbus, you have to go to USC, and you have to go to Iowa at the end of the season, right? Those are 3 really, really tough road games, especially Ohio State, especially USC, right? So you want to basically take advantage of this opportunity and get as many wins on the board as possible over the next 4 games. I think you got to win 3 of them. You got to be 6-1 going into Ohio State. To be totally honest, right? If you go in Ohio State 5-2, with losses to, I don't know, maybe Illinois and I don't know, Indiana, maybe, right? That's that the season can derail very, very quickly because the schedule gets a lot harder. I think Matt Rule recognizes he's got a lot of momentum right now behind this program, a lot of juice, a lot of energy. He does not want to lose it. He understands that the next month or so will be critical. Here's the other thing, too. If they roll into Columbus undefeated, they're going to be a top 10 team. I mean, when's the last time we've had a Nebraska top 10 matchup at the end of October? October 26th would be that game. So we'll have potentially a top 10 Nebraska team at the end of October. It's been a long time since we've seen that. Regardless how we finish, if this team gets ranked that high, that again perpetuates the momentum, perpetuates the energy, builds that recruiting cycle, that transfer cycle. Everything keeps rolling forward. If they have some issues during these next 4 games, winnable games, then the momentum stalls out just a little bit. So I think Matt Rule here understands that. He says, okay, we need to play the guys that are going to give us the most stability, the most consistency. We don't want a lot of variation from this point forward. I think that's what's behind this move. And I think it's a really smart strategy. This next month, even though it's not the biggest name matchups, will be critical for Nebraska's development, getting off to a strong start, not just in conference, but winning games that they're actually supposed to win and continuing to climb up the rankings. This is a pivotal month for Nebraska. I think Matt Rule starting it off with a really smart move.